Welcome back into the Tell Me Short series, and we're going to continue our conversation about quote-unquote racism. And I've already told you in the past that racism does not exist. In fact, the concept does not even exist. It's not even a biblical concept. Now, I can only address the people who say they're believers in the Church of the Living God. I can only address Christians. I cannot address those who are outside of the church. But we need to understand what terms we're using and for what reason. Now, the term that should be used is ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism. That's the term. So what does the Bible say about ethnocentrism rather than racism? Because racism presumes multiple races. There's no such thing as multiple races. There's only one human race. Now, ethnocentrism is the belief that a particular ethnic group, is superior to all other ethnic groups, and that all of the other ethnic groups are to be subjectively measured in relation to that superior ethnic group. That's been the problem since the time of old, since the time of the Tower of Babel, when God sovereignly decided to divide the human race along linguistic lines, and those linguistic lines then developed their own cultural characteristics and patterns. So what is ethnocentrism? Because that's the problem that is at the heart of all of these issues. Well, it is a system of belief that leads to extreme pride as well as a lack of concern for others. So simply put, if we're going to look at ethnocentrism, it's another name. In fact, it's a better name for racism, which has been a plague on humanity for centuries and the cause of death of millions. Let me draw your attention back to 1990 to 1994. In 1990 to 1994, in the Republic of Rwanda. Rwanda is a country in Africa. From 1990 to 94, the world watched with its arms crossed on live television as the Hutus and the Tutsis, these two large ethnic groups in the country of Rwanda, went to war. And there was a third group, the Twas. But these two groups literally committed genocide. They killed each other to the tune of over 1 million people. Why? Because one group felt it was superior to the other group and subjected that group to all kinds of mistreatment and discrimination. So the group that was subjected then in turn raised arms and took out the other group and committed the same crime that they were being accused of. And the world sat back with its arms crossed and did absolutely nothing. In fact, it acquiesced to all of the demands. Well, this has been the problem since the Tower of Babel. This is an ancient problem and it's been around a long, long time. Well, I want you to know that ethnocentrism, I want you to understand this. There is no place among God's people for the ethnocentric attitudes which lead to what we call today as racism. In fact, such attitudes are completely contrary to Scripture and absolutely displeasing to God. So I want you to understand that biblically speaking, ethnocentrism is a sin. It's a sin. I'll tell you why. Because if you go back to the basics of the Scriptures, go back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 and 27. We've repeated it, but it needs to be repeated again. All men and all women are made in the image of God, although that image has been corrupted by sin. Look at what God said in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. This is God speaking, and he says, "Let us make man in our own image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over every cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on earth." God created man, he says, in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female. He created them. Drop down to Genesis chapter 9. And in Genesis chapter 9, look at what he says in verse 6. He says, "Whoever shed man's blood, by his blood shall be shed. For the image of God he made man." Now, he did not say in Genesis 1:26, "Let us make the white man in our own image." He did not say, "Let's make the black man in our own image only." He did not say, "Let's make the yellow man in our own image only." He didn't say, "Make the red man only in our image." He didn't say the brown man and so forth. He said, he made man in our image. Now, here's the challenge that you and I have to face. Ethnocentrism has been been around since the Tower of Babel. Excuse me. And because of that, no legislation, no rules, nothing in the state legislature and government is going to solve this problem, because ethnocentrism is a sin. It's a heart problem. And that's what we have to begin to address from this day forward. But the church has become complicit, along with the secular government and secular people, in confusing and conflating the issues. Jesus Christ transcends all of the ethnic groups, and we'll pick this up in our next session.